Probably 6 months.
6 months. It's almost like COVID zapped our will to live, and Vladimir and Volodymyr got us back in business again.
I know.
How do you pronounce that guy's name, Jack? Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. Right?
Yes, I think that's probably enough.
Yeah. Volodymyr Zelensky.
Yes.
What a character. Well, I tell you, man, all sorts of stuff going on in the world. I figured, well, who better to talk to about what's happening than Nee Jack Churchill?
Well said.
Forgetting where we see the number of people that are actually watching. Nobody's tuned in yet. They will shortly.
Okay, well, let's wait till we have an audience.
Sure. Noel's out walking the dog. This is what our life has been reduced to. Noel is out walking the dog.
Our only dependable viewer, almost our only one, is out walking the dog.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, what the fuck?
Isn't that ridiculous? This is what we're reduced to.
Now, let me ask you a technical question. Can there be people watching this without us seeing their names?
Yeah. That's the move right there, man. Is that nobody gets to see? Nobody. We don't get to see who's watching the actual show. As a matter of fact, I'm going to look at the destinations here. Yeah, we're broadcasting to that, and we're broadcasting to my YouTube page. So we should be live on those two pages. And I'm going over to the Seth and Jack Show page on Facebook. I can't find it. So
what do you think? I mean,
fits and starts, man.
Don't we deserve at least for people who are watching this to announce themselves rather than being these political closet voyeurs that they are?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to take the broadcast live on those two pages, and I'm going over to the Seth and Jack Show page on Facebook. I can't find it. I'm going to take those two pages, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share that on YouTube. I'm going to share the YouTube page on the Seth and Jack Show page, so you can watch it directly on YouTube if you want to. And then I'm going to go over to my personal Facebook page and share it there as well, so that we can, there we go. So that's the link. All right.
So if anyone is watching, let yourselves be known if you can, but at least we know that the tech is working. Seth went through 10 different steps, any one of which could have fucked up.
No, I have it. I have it going on the Seth and Jack Show page. It's just, I guess it's not broadcasting to it just yet. Don't know why. There we go. Anyway, Jackie boy, how you doing, man? You doing all right?
I'm good, but I'm still waiting for viewers, Seth, because I'm not about to wait.
Can you see the zero up there too? Do you have the counter?
I don't. They don't give that to me here. No, I don't.
All right. Well.
Interesting. No, this page is really minimal that I have, Seth, compared to what you have in front of you.
The command center.
Yeah.
No, we're on the page. You can see it now.
Really?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay. I'm using a new browser, but I didn't use Brave before. I used either Safari or Google, whatever.
Brave does give you some added extra privacy protection.
I like Brave. I think it's fast. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what their revenue stream is. I mean, they have a thing called Brave Rewards. I haven't looked at it, but I don't understand the revenue stream, but it seems to work really well.
Well, I mean, the revenue stream normally is just data capture, right? What are people looking and who do we sell that to?
Well,
Yeah.
that's true. That's the pay.
So let's see here. How about Ben Bryant?
Oh, we'd love to have him, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Where is he?
I don't know.
Let's call Ben.
Yeah, he may be. He's probably watching something on Netflix.
Sure. I mean, and how could this possibly be less important than that?
I understand.
Come on, Ben. Come on, Ben. Come on the air with us, buddy. Yeah. Here, I'm going to send Ben the link.
Do. See, if you make yourselves known if you're watching this, we'll start to talk about some interesting things. But if you don't, then we'll just sort of stay here and
Hang.
hang.
You see this woman in Ukraine?
Which one?
The one that confronted the Russian soldiers?
Yeah, I did. That's there's a bit of a lag. I'm looking at the YouTube feed, and it's got about a half a second lag on it.
Oh, okay. Shut it off. I think that's the one viewer that we're displaying. Shut off YouTube and see if the one view goes away, or if Noel is actually watching.
Did it go away?
No, man.
Maybe we have a viewer. No, let yourself be known.
Imagine that. If you're on the air, let us know. There
Are
we
you
go.
cross-dressing again? Is that why we don't see you?
I don't know. Well, might as well get started, bud.
I guess we're going to have to get to it, bud.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Noel?
Oh, great.
What's up, buddy? It's you, bud. We're doing the show for you tonight, man.
Yes, you are the only one.
Is it welcome? Thanks, bud. Thanks. Good to see you. Happy to have you joining us. Noel says, welcome back. Just joined. Noel's like, what is up? It's good to hear from Noel. Noel, what a collection of crazy shit we had happen over the past week. Yeah. Yeah. So, Jack, now that we're up and running with our one viewer, you know, it kind of gives it a special kind of high school hangout flavor to it with Motorcycle Noel. You know, we used to call him Motorcycle Noel. He used to have a motorcycle. I think it was an old Honda he used to ride around. Noel, was it a Honda? What kind of bike was it that you had in 1981? Noel used to ride around the neighborhood. And yeah, crazy and scary is right. Noel used to ride around the neighborhood. And he was one of the very first people I knew that had a motorcycle. He's really cool. Yeah. Jack builds motorcycles is why I mentioned it. Harmony Fuller commented on our post in the Seth and Jack show. Harmony is watching too. See? Thank you, Harmony. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your being here. Jack.
Seth, why don't we ask Harmony what she'd like us to talk about?
Yeah. By the way, Jack, have you ever owned a Cowie KZ400?
No. The KZ, I believe, was a two-stroke.
That's what Noel had.
Well, if it was a two-stroke, any big displacement Kawasaki two-stroke was a death machine.
Why was it a death machine?
The H1 and the H2. A two-stroke engine, 400, 500, 750, were so powerful and the frame was so unable to handle the power.
That's funny.
More people got killed on this machine if it was a two-stroke because they're so fast. And really, it was, remember the little airplane they called the Doctor Killer?
Yeah.
It had the little detail on it. Like, same thing, except as a motorcycle. The frame suspension could not handle the engine.
That is, that's Noel's response, Jack. So we're happy. We're glad to have Noel here. Jack, I wanted today's show to be about, you're going to think this is crazy, but I want it to be about feelings, right? And I'll tell you why. Not only because fuck your feelings is a bumper sticker, right?
Right.
That's not why I wanted to be about feelings. It occurs to me that we are collectively experiencing something that has never happened in any of our lifetimes. And that is to say that previously, how you doing, Jack? You all right? You going to make it?
I'm just getting organized.
You're getting organized? Okay. Noel says he was lucky to survive.
No shit. I mean, two strokes are deadly.
He says it was not a two-stroke.
Yeah. Well, that's because he probably isn't that good a rider. No. If you ride a machine in the city, you're fucking asking for it.
Well, I thought, you know what? We've heard so much dysfunction from the fuck your feelings crowd. But does it occur to you that we're in the middle of this? It started with Trump. The idea that everything that
Amazing.
yeah.
It's amazing. You just give the name, and boom, everybody laughs.
I know.
Funny.
It started in 2016 with Trump, and people started kind of losing their bearing on normalcy. That is to say that Trump undid every kind of norm that we had gotten used to. And I think we were collectively, American culture was in a kind of hypnotic state that started in the 50s and continued on until Trump got elected. And that was that America was a place where civility really was worth something. And you could really depend on a number of things. You go to college and you get a degree and you're likely to get a job. You're likely to be able to achieve the American dream. And there was a formula for that type of behavior. It's very Japanese in that sense, that you get a job with the organization and the organization will never fucking fire you. And you have work for life as long as you behave according to these sets of mores and principles. And Trump upended all of that for everyone, which in a very strange way is a gift. But then his KGB master, Vladimir Putin, did something this week that undid 75 years of global history, which is to say that the balance of power and the agreement that we all have with each other, and when I say we all have with each other, I'm speaking of nations and nation states. This set of structures has been disrupted by one of two of the largest nuclear powers on the planet. And so for the very first time in my life, I've heard the words that have been terrifying to me, and that is World War III. Everybody, and not just schmucks saying, it's World War III if we do this. It's World War III if we put American troops in Ukraine. It's World War III if Putin decides that he wants to disrupt more, and now he's threatening people with the fact that he's a nuclear power. So I wanted this show to be about, and it's needed. I needed to come on the air and talk to you about this, but I think our buddies also need to have a little, get our village back together too, so we can talk about it. But this concept that everything that you were raised and programmed for the decades that you've been on this planet is no longer the case. It explains Karenism. It explains Brandonism. It explains everything. And I think it's about technology and communication.
Okay. Before we get into that, because it's a huge topic, keep in mind that I'm older than you were, and in fact, this echoes, if not rhymes, with the way I was brought up, and that is the Russians are danger. So there's a kind of vibration that I feel, having been brought up in the Cold War, where it almost feels recursive. Okay, I almost feel that this is what I was taught when I was duck and cover in second grade. This is exactly a repeat of that message.
Does that trigger any visceral emotions in you? Do you get that icy grip?
Well, I spent 2 hours under my bed today practicing, but I had my Glock in my hand. What I find fascinating, Seth, and I think the way you're pursuing this is wonderful. I just want to keep it as light as we can.
I mean, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're on the precipice of the fucking apocalypse. So I'm happy to keep it light, but.
What did you say to me the other day? Putin is a moron. You don't fuck a Jewish comedian.
I just said, with the fucking guy. He started a fight with a Jewish comedian and thought he was going to win the argument? What are you, out of your fucking mind? The man's an actual Jewish comedian.
It's interesting because I have a feeling that the world needs heroes. Think of that. We lack heroes. In real life, I mean, obviously Trump wasn't one, and certainly Biden isn't hero material.
No.
If you look at not only a number of different Ukrainians, including the premier, you took heroism, and then this one wonderful woman in Russia that's head of the state theater that quit today.
Yeah, she wrote a nice
something called who quit today. I mean, these people are probably facing firing squad.
Well, they would if there were fewer of them. But I think that public protest reaches a point of critical mass, specifically in Russia. Public protest reaches a point of critical mass, and then the fallacies start to fade away. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because we had preconceived notions of what the Russian war machine was all about and the infallibility of it. And they've dropped 3,000 fucking bodies in Ukraine, and it's been 48 hours. They're getting the shit kicked out of them, and Stingers and Javelins have a lot to do with it. Germany today started doing Lend-Lease or giving weapon systems to Ukraine. Everybody is supplying Ukraine with what they need.
That's true. But mindset, in reality, Putin has only put 1/3 of his forces in Ukraine so far.
Sure, but think about who the other 2/3 are, Jack. They're not combat. They're not all combat forces. These are truck drivers. These are support personnel. So it's not like he's got he's got half of his army on the Ukrainian border.
Right.
I think it's an opportunity for some tactical nukes to take them out.
I was going to say, are we ever going to have the opportunity again of a concentration of Russian troops?
No.
It's cynical, but now, did you notice today that Putin?
Oh, hold on a sec. I'm sorry. Did you just apologize for being cynical during a conversation about Vladimir Putin?
Well, I was thinking of mass destruction of the Russian army. In any case, Seth, did you see Putin today in Scandinavia?
No. What did he say
Finland,
off today?
He said if Finland and Sweden join NATO, there will be consequences.
Yeah, the consequences are we're going to turn fucking Moscow to a giant sheet of glass. I'm tired of being threatened by a guy with an economy the size of fucking Texas. And you saw what Greg Abbott did with his electrical infrastructure.
Yep.
Maybe Putin can give us some hints on infrastructure.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And we won't even get into the motivation of Putin because we've been seeing that all week. Okay. Oh, no, good.
We're cracking Noel up.
Yeah, Lowell, tell us specifically. We ought to have systems, Seth. We ought to have this system where when somebody says Lowell, they can put a star on either me or you, depending to see who said the funny thing.
Oh, sure. Okay. That's a great idea.
Did you see that 62% of Americans think that the invasion wouldn't have happened if Trump was still in power?
Right. That's because of that 62%. 90% are Democrats that realize that Putin wouldn't have wanted to damage his only asset in the United States. I'm sorry, him and Mike Pompeo.
Right. I mean, what is worth more, an ass puppet in the White House? Oh, no, that's so sweet. An ass puppet in the White House or Ukraine? I mean, they already have the Crimea, right. So the ass puppet is worth so much more.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea that Putin would have touched anything while Trump was in office is so bizarre that it can only come out of the Fox News universe. And these fucking people are reaching, dude. They are reaching over at Fox.
Yeah, they are. And what I think is interesting, I thought of that and I said, what did Putin really get out of Trump? Besides and it's a big deal, destabilizing the United States and the faith in institutions in the United States. But really, did he get anything else from Trump?
Well, no. Let's talk about that for a second, Jack, and let's explore that because Putin seems to have revealed himself a little bit to be fucking nuts. He does. Putin has made some massive miscalculations. And one of those miscalculations has to do with what he thought the rest of the world was going to do and think. So if he has these kinds of wrong think ideas about what's happening in America and what's happening and what's going to happen next door to Russian-speaking citizens, he really has no clue about what's going on in America. And I think he has an idea about the backlash that he has created.
Well, you pointed that out to me and mentioned very much like Trump, he lives in his own silo. Nobody's about to tell him he's wrong about anything. Same thing with Trump. It's so similar. Given that, and what I post on Facebook, which is Putin, and he is an amazingly smart chess player, head of the Stasi, the KGB, I mean, ruthless organizations internally, as well as what they do to the civil population. Very smart. He is basically just like Stalin, who I think his name was Kovalov, who was a quartermaster, head of the quartermaster corps in the Red Army. He is basically a Russian peasant. And I'm sorry if it sounds racist, but this is an alcoholic, self-delusional, brutal culture in a lot of ways. That's who he is.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, but I was going to say that he's an antisocial human being in a world directed by social media. And so that disconnect makes it impossible for him to be able to function properly.
That's right.
Because, now, it occurs to me that something fascinating is going on, Jack, and it's really it's worth the whole show. The idea that social media and our phones and our computer screens now are bringing us in living color everything that's happening now, and we get to see the emotional trigger stuff, the wives crying, the husband leaving his little girl at the bus and crying as he says goodbye to her, and she hands him a note and he can't stand to look at it and he starts to cry. This woman, here we go, Jack. Here we go. Let's watch. Why don't you and I spend a second and show our guests a little interaction that happened in Ukraine today.
А хто ви такі? Які вчення? Звідки ви? Які вчення? Ви що, росіяни?
Да.
Якого хера ви тут робите?
Ну, сейчас наш с вами разговор ни к чему не приведет.
Вы оккупанты, вы фашисты, вы пришли на нашу землю.
Хорошо.
Какого хера вы пришли с оружием к нам?
Кто сказал? Женщина.
Возьмите семечки, положите сырые,
Хорошо.
чтобы хоть подсолнухи росли, когда вы
Хорошо.
здесь ляжете.
Сейчас наш разговор ни к чему не приведет. Давайте не будем усугублять эту ситуацию. Пожалуйста.
Как усугублять
Пожалуйста,
ситуацию?
не будем усугублять ситуацию. Наш с вами
Ребята,
разговор ни к чему не
Ребята,
приведет.
положите в карманы
Ничего не
семечки.
решит наш с вами разговор.
Я поняла, положите семечки или
Хорошо.
семена цветов.
Я-
Вы здесь семенами
Я
ляжете.
Сделаю.
Вы
так,
пришли
хорошо.
на мою землю.
Хорошо, я вас выслушал.
Вы понимаете?
Я вас
Вы
выслушал.
оккупанты.
Хорошо.
Вы враги.
Да.
И вы уже с этой секунды прокляты.
Да.
Я вам отвечаю.
Все. Теперь послушайте меня.
Я вас услышала.
Не будем усугублять ситуацию, пройдите.
А
пожалуйста.
куда уже усугублять? Вы пришли, блядь, непрошенные
Хорошо.
твари. Конченые.
Don't fuck with a Russian woman.
I tell you, Seth, this is a scene. If she had been speaking German to a German soldier, would have been exactly the same. Because that is what this is. And it's fascinating. You see, but let's get back to this Putin thing. As I said before, this guy is an ignorant fucking peasant. And he thought he could use the same techniques that he used 40 years ago of disinformation and false flag operations in Ukraine, public opinion.
Yeah.
And all he's looking at is Russian public opinion, and not even the ones around the cities. I'm talking about the ones in the east, okay?
Right.
And he thinks on that level that these are the target of his misinformation. And he has no idea the world has moved on 40 years. And
Well, no, not only that, Jack, he has no idea how their brains have been programmed.
Yes.
Their brains have been completely rewired. And as I say, he is an antisocial human being, as is Trump, by the way, living in an age of social media. And he kind of speaks analog brutality.
Yes.
And he's speaking to people who speak digital subtleties.
Yes.
And I mean, subtleties. My son knew about the sunflower lady. That fucking sunflower lady came. And just in case you missed what she was saying, Jack, let me rephrase it for you. You fucking fascist pieces of shit. You useless, ignorant Russians. At least do us, the people you've come here to subjugate, do us the favor of putting these sunflower seeds in your pocket so when you fucking die on our soil, at least flowers will come of it.
It is so brilliant, Seth. It is.
Is that the most Russian thing you've ever heard?
It is beyond the pale. It is so cool.
Lukoil is being boycotted like crazy.
And all these moments, and it hasn't even started yet, these moments of greatness, personal greatness, are going to be in high definition, hi-fi audio all over social media. And fucking Putin is so myopic, just like Trump. He doesn't get it.
There was a public protest in Tbilisi. They were fucking chanting Kolinsky, Kolinsky, Kolinsky in Russia.
Yeah.
In St. Petersburg, they took to the streets by the thousands. And the Russians, sure, did they arrest a couple of people? Sure. I saw a woman holding up a peace sign with the Ukrainian flag and the Russian flag in sections of the peace sign with a fucking infant in the baby Bjorn on her chest. And the fucking Russian secret police arrested her. They grabbed the sign, took it down, and arrested her. Hold on a sec. Let's take another look at what the Russians are up to. Shall we, Jack?
Какая жесть.
And that is a surveillance shot of that's a surveillance shot of a Russian missile hitting in a residential apartment building in Kiev. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just speaking of Kiev, I was talking with you before we went on the air about Ron Kuby, who I happen to be Facebook friends with. Ron Kuby, who was Bill Kunstler's right-hand man. And we, he's a Brooklyn guy and he knows a lot of Brooklyn people. He said something interesting. He said, boy, look at all these performative Ukrainians on Facebook today. And I was like, I mean, isn't the American left addicted to finding grievance somewhere too? Isn't that someone looking for grievance to show solidarity with a people who are obviously being subjugated, who are obviously under threat by a tyrant?
Mm-hmm.
Show solidarity, to put their flag on your Facebook page, as we've done here, to open your door to them. How is that performative Ukrainianism? I mean, it's the problem with the American left. They have a worldview where they have to attack the big guy, and when the big guy is doing, and when everything is going perfectly well, they're still not happy and they have to attack someone.
Yes. And they also have a very human tendency, the person who's most vulnerable, or the one you ignore.
Harmony says, this shit is so scary. I know I'm pretty ignorant on all this. Do you think the U.S. draft could ever be reinstated?
Oh, can I?
Well, funny you should mention it, Harmony. Jack, do you have any thoughts on that? I will. Harmony has a lovely little boy who's not so little anymore, as big as I am. At any rate,
huge.
He's a big boy.
Does he have that?
And Harmony, like any other mom, I guess, is concerned about what's happening. The battlefield, Harmony, has changed so much that the idea of a sustained conventional war, like the one that you're seeing in Europe now, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think nuclear weapons have taken the draft off he's 11. He's 11 going on 31.
And as big as you are, I hope he plays football.
I think his name is Maddox.
Great.
And I haven't even, now here's my hands. I haven't clicked to that's what I think the kid's name is. I think I remembered the kid's name. Harmony, is his name Maddox? Maddox? Now we're going to find out. She's going to tell me in the chat if his name is Maddox or not. I think I got it right. I don't think he's getting drafted.
Okay.
7 years from now or ever.
Let me, as one who's been in the Army, Seth, You're good, very good. You got it wrong. It's a small M, not a capital M, Seth. Harmony. Let me give you my thoughts on this. Since Vietnam, where everybody realized sort of what the equation was in terms of drafting people and who got drafted and who didn't, and the whole unfairness of the system. There's been a whole generation of parents who understand the inequity of the draft. That's the thing to consider. The Army, in fact, likes it very much that there is not a draft because conscripts are much more malleable. And those that sign up are much more willing to buy into the ethos of the military. That being said, it would take, in my mind, you will never get a draft through in this country unless it's a kind of war that becomes so severe, like World War III, that the American population is behind the draft. They're not going to do it unless it is so dire. I can't hear you, Seth. If you can hear me, which you may not be able to, we're having technical difficulties, which is par for the course. Hello, 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 hello. Testing, testing. Good, got you. No, you're not.
Am I back?
Yes, now you are.
Okay. Wow, that's strange. Check and let me know let me know if I go out again, okay?
Oh, believe me, I will. I'll go.
Thanks, buddy. So,
I want to tell it.
The Russian soldiers, you were talking about the draft and
Yes.
the conscripted Russian soldiers.
Yep.
They're really not that jazzed on the idea of this war.
I know.
And I mean, I've seen some crazy shit. Did you see the thing about the tank driving over the civilian car?
Yep.
I mean,
well, it turned into the car's path.
Right.
And took it out, basically.
Right. I mean, the only thing I could think is they saw a young man in the car, realized that there was a curfew, and that any young man was fair game.
And it was an old man, in fact, who survived.
Maybe he owed the Russian mob money.
That's the whole country. That could be anybody. Seth, let's talk about, and to answer that question again, I think the draft would only happen if it was an amazingly popular war. Politically, it's a no-no for 50% of the people. That's my impression. I wouldn't worry too much about it because there are going to be a million great ways to draft dodge next time, because even Vietnam had superlative, wonderful that you could get out of it, from paying off the draft board, going to Canada, going to Sweden. I mean, there's myriad ways of faking doctors' excuses. So you'll, as the privileged class, you will be able to avoid it one way or the other. And we're not going to discuss the morality of that. What I want to talk about are these truckers going to New York. They're going to get to Washington. They're going to get to Washington, D.C. on the day that all mask mandates are stopped. Don't you think that would be a absolutely perfect ending to this trucker saga, Seth?
Yeah. And not only that, but first of all, entirely aside from the stupidity of the CDC, just the abject stupidity of the CDC. They, I mean, guys, get your shit together. They have terrible leadership there. But that aside, I see a study now out of the international scientific community. The Wuhan virus didn't start in a lab; it started in the open air fish market there.
Are they back around 360 to that now? Because
Yep.
I heard every second on the clock has a theory about where it started. Okay.
I mean, how do you have that many people packed into one place and intersecting with food and the, 12th century, food handling regimen that they practice there?
If you have an infectious disease experimental facility in that same city,
It's
so
amazing.
you think that would, so to me, it's all bullshit.
I
But-
get you. I get you. I mean,
But-
I'm too tired to ask, but I was watching this thing about Nancy Harmon Jenkins, the famous chef, who's our friend on Facebook and the restaurateur. Nancy said, "What the hell's going on in New York with the Manhattan DA?" And I said, "Nancy, it's New York City. It's the most corrupt criminal justice system in the world, and you're trying to tell me that you're surprised by this when hitmen snuck into the federal detention center in broad daylight and killed the most valuable witness to ever testify against powerful white men in history."
But
You're trying to tell me-
this guy is so fucking blatant. And that's what you and I are always on our mouths agape at the blatant corruption. It is so obviously he's one dirty motherfucker. And the decisions that he makes are like being a first grader. And he's making them because it's his offshore bank account is growing. And he is the ultimate dirtbag, but that's what New York is.
Without question.
Oh,
And it's just amazing how lackadaisical people in power can be, and people who are in politics can be. I realized I just get bored so easily, Jack. I want to fuck with Republicans every way I can, but I run out of ideas sometimes. So I got a new idea, and I saw something that was fabulous, and I'll share it with you here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's a guy in Ukraine crying over the body of his dead buddy, bombs hitting a Ukrainian town, and a beautiful blonde Ukrainian woman that's been beaten and injured.
Yep.
And then it's all of the Trump quotes about how much of a genius Putin is.
Yep.
So this little infographic was put together. This is genius. Oh, that's wonderful. How smart is that? He's going to be able to be a peacekeeper. I'd say that's pretty smart. Donald Trump on Putin's Ukraine war. Well, Jack,
Seth.
I posted that infographic to the Knox County Republicans Facebook page.
Oh, okay, here is something. Jon Stewart was talking about Trumpers and how there are going to be a lot of them now who are going to start to walk back their enthusiasm.
Yes.
And he said, what you cannot do is make them look too stupid. It's like your friend come to you. He'd been dating a psycho for 6 months and they broke up. You don't remind him that he spent 6 months dating a psycho because it was all back in the Republican rabbit hole again. So you
I don't care. I want their faces to be rubbed in it. I want this to keep going. I do.
But
I want it to. I don't want it to stop. I'm desperate for more conflict and entertainment because, as I said to you last week, we've got to pop the Putin pimple. We've got to have this conflict. There's got to be a fucking nuke that gets dropped somewhere. There's got to be Trump in jail. There's got to be blood in the streets. And we're afraid to talk about it and admit it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're coming up against resource wars because there's too many people on the planet. There's not enough arable land. We've chewed through all of our topsoil, and the climate is changing daily. Daily. We live in a state that has water now, this week, but it might not, 2 years from now. But, and here's the fun part, this isn't getting any better. Something is going to happen. And the fear that we all have is that, what's happening now in Ukraine, it's not isolated. Putin doesn't want to stop there. So something has to happen. He's got to die, and I don't know how that resolves itself. Or we're going to have a nuclear conflict of sorts. If he doesn't stop, he's going to invoke, NATO is going to have to invoke Article 5. I don't see any way around it. Unless, of course, he comes to Jesus and somebody tells him, hey, dude, this is going to end badly for you. And your army is not performing the way you thought it would. Your people are not doing what you thought they would do. And you're about to lose your fucking head. And if he's smart enough he's so angry and rabidly confrontational and intolerant of opposing views that I don't see anybody being able to say these words to him.
You know something? It almost sounds like you're talking about Trump.
Yes. You ever notice how the criminals always associate with each other?
And admire each other.
Anna Sorokin.
Yes.
Anna Sorokin, the Russian,
Classic.
in my opinion, the Russian plant. But in both of our opinion, the wonderfully creative young woman who conned all of socialite Manhattan out of their money.
I haven't been watching it because I've been working on the Anna Delvey Foundation. So, which brings us to good films, people. Okay?
Right, but don't you think Trump and Putin, don't you think Trump and Putin are the Anna Sorokin and Firefest guy?
Absolutely.
Of the international crowd?
It's, sociopaths have always been around. Never before have we seen them at blatant positions of power.
How did Anna Sorokin find Billy McFarland? How did that happen? How did two extremely high-profile people find each other, and she was couch surfing with Billy McFarland, the Firefest guy?
You have to understand that this group in New York, this self-appointed group, is not large, and there are a lot of people trying to get in. Psychopaths are large, but the group itself isn't, and it changes every week. Now, let me just say here, we're referring, if you haven't seen it, to a Netflix series called Making, is that it? Remaking Anna? Making Anna.
Inventing Anna.
Inventing Anna, which is about a Russian girl who lived in Germany for a while, that came to the United States and basically hoodwinked the whole highest end of Manhattan society, the above Prada elite. And it is a fabulous series. And she is played by an actress by the name of Julia Garner, who starred in Ozark.
Love!
Who became so liked by the audience that the last season of Ozark is 60%. She has 60% of the screen time, and she's a secondary character.
Brilliant.
And she not only talks and looks just like this woman, who is in fact in detention with the Immigration Service now. She did her a couple of years in prison, and now she's in detention in the Immigration Service for violating immigration law. And the job that I would say that she may be the new Helen Mirren at least, but even farther, I would say that she may be the best actress of the next 5 years.
She reminds me of a female Robert Duvall.
I have to think about that.
the kind of American treasure actor that can do multiple different accents, and and is a kind of Zelig or Gene Hackman. She's a female Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I think even more because her chameleon ability to play
yes, Noel.
Inventing Anna. That's right, Noel. You got to see it. It's extremely good. It's a wonderful story. Definitely, it has to be watched.
And we're not going to do any spoilers, but it was. I mean, there's so much content now that. Harmony says she can't wait for the second half of the Ozark thing. I was devastated that it's cut off, with half a season. I wanted to binge the rest of it. Noel says, me too.
I think the second half has been done. I think it's done. There's another season out there which I didn't realize existed that I watched, and she just is on in every shot. I mean, because people loved her so much.
Yeah.
I would say Meryl Streep. And the reason I say Meryl Streep is because her ability to play a redneck, foul-mouthed, hillbilly Tootsie and then turn around and play this psychopath, as I say, way above Prada, spoiled, bitchy sociopath. I mean, that ability to do those two characters so credibly.
Without the aquiline nose.
Yes, exactly. I mean, please. I mean, she is marvelous.
Yeah.
So in any case, now that we're talking about films, I'm going to throw out really quickly things that in the last 6 months I've watched that I've really liked. Most of them are on Netflix. One or two of them aren't. 1883 is a series, and it's the what's the name of that Wyoming series?
Larry McMurtry, right? Lonesome Dove?
No.
No.
This is, in fact, Prairie Story. Six episodes. Family goes out on the prairie. It's violent. It's heartless. It's whatever it is, but it's worth watching. It doesn't follow the formula.
Sure.
Mayor of Kingston, Jeremy, what's his name?
Renner.
Story of Kingston, New York, the big job there, the only job is the penitentiary. And Renner plays an ex-con who lives in town, and he basically deals with the bros and the drug guys and the criminals and the lawyers, and he's like a go-between. You haven't seen this kind of story before. It's fabulous. Okay, it's called The Mayor of Kingston. If you haven't seen it, it's been around for a while. Escape at Dannemora, directed by Biller, with Benicio del Toro and Arquette.
Yeah,
phenomenal series.
Brilliant. I'm not a huge prison movie fan. I find the setting itself limiting.
To me, it's not. To me, it's like war films. It's because the setting is so extreme, it makes the stories interesting. And I'm a real fan of prison films. And there's some very good English ones that I don't have listed here, but there are a couple of English ones that are extremely good.
Oh, you did a little show prep today, did you? You're
Yes.
Okay. I did too. I have sponsorship. We have a new sponsor.
Okay, we'll get to that. Seth, I was looking at that T-shirt of yours, and it looked like somebody forgot to take off your bib after dinner.
It's a long sleeve. It's a long sleeve T-shirt. It's a long sleeve. It's a long sleeve T-shirt. Yeah, it's winter. I got my long sleeve T-shirts on.
Move on, and we'll discuss some of these because I want to give this list to my friends if they haven't seen them.
Go for it, too.
I don't know politics, but I do know what good film is. The Expanse, science fiction, a million different seasons, goes on and on. The art direction, the special effects, the art direction behind the tech, super cool.
Whoa, hold on just a second, Jack.
Jesus.
We have a comment here.
Yes.
Look who that's from.
Okay, this is absolutely wonderful. I want to hear who this is.
I have no idea who this is.
But this is worth interrupting.
Right. Sure, because we're beating the living fuck out of Putin, and we have a Russian-speaking person who is obviously not a Russian-speaking person, just changed their name to Cyrillic, and is watching the show, a longtime fan. We just don't know which longtime fan that is that changed their name to Cyrillic. And of course, I don't read Cyrillic. So, Jack, do you read Russian?
I don't. I used to. Seth, I think that we will only pay attention to this if the person comes clean.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to move on here. The Expanse. Now, there's another documentary that was done 2 years ago called Icarus, and it's become important again. And it won the Documentary Academy Award. It's a guy in Colorado who was interested in, he's a bicyclist. He was interested in doping in bicycles. And the more he pursues this, the more he gets into the Russians and their doping in Sochi.
Yes.
And
it was brilliant.
And the doctor who was head of the doping in Sochi, in fact, took off for the United States. Now he's in the Witness Protection Program. The guy interviews him.
Yep.
And when you realize the lengths that the Russians went to, tunneling into buildings, changing blood samples, but right now it's become relevant again. It's called.
You know what? You know what stuck with me about that doc? That the KGB was the entity, the FSB was the entity that did the lab work, the on-site lab work at Sochi to change the samples. And the samples were in a sealed container. You put the urine in the container and you seal it and it goes to the lab, but it stays in the lab overnight. And the fucking KGB came in and they invented a tool to unseal and then reseal the container. And when they examined the urine containers, they found scratches exactly where the guy said there would be scratches.
And they had tunneled under the street into the building to get in at night.
Unbelievable.
You want to know what these people are all about? That's it. Sorry.
Well, I mean, this is the point, Jack. I mean, there's history of nobody being able to trust the Russians, and the drip, drip, drip of this country under this leader that has refused to join civilization. And civilization has been sitting here watching these people at these cute little Russians where they play their game, forgetting that they have nuclear weapons, 6,000 nuclear weapons. And that, that look how quaint they are with their funny reindeer games. And now they can't even compete in the Olympics. And now all of a sudden, years and years of not sanctioning this fucking asshole have resulted in this. But it's all the same thing. The same way as Trumpian fascism here is the same thing as Putin fascism in Russia. And I said today, you know how those Ukrainians are defending their country and gleefully defending their country and giving everything they have to their country and resign to their fate, and how they're perfectly willing to kill as many Russians as possible? That's the way we feel about Trumpists.
I agree.
Get some.
So moving on. Another film is Ben Stiller, Uncut Gems.
If
you're from New York.
It's not Ben Stiller.
Who is it? The other comedian.
Yeah, the other Jew comedian from New York.
Yes. Yeah. Not the one
Andrew Sandler. Yeah, Andrew Sandler. Sandberg, Andrew Sandler.
Anyway, it is a performance of a lifetime. And okay, another one you probably haven't heard of that's worth seeing, and I saw it a couple of years ago. It's still on Netflix, called 7 Seconds. It's about a cop driving in the fog on Liberty, in Liberty near the Statue of Liberty. It's the Liberty Police, Jersey City Police, and he hits a blackhead on a bicycle in the fog and doesn't really know what it is. And the cover-up, it is phenomenal, mostly because the casting is incredible.
You're into this. You're into this gritty New York
I am.
stuff.
I miss it. I miss it. And I don't know where it is, but it's extremely very violent. It's called
Adam Sandler. Yeah.
North Water. Okay, English series with what's a really good looking guy, the Irishman. Oh God. Anyway, it's violent, but it's good. Another one, and I keep saying this to people, and people don't see it, and I understand why. It's called The Keepers. It's a documentary series about a Baltimore church girls' orphanage in the 50s, where one of the nuns ends up being murdered. Trust me, if you hated the Catholic Church, you will hate it 10 times as much.
So it's a comedy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Jewish people love it. Okay, but it is the most. It's really depressing. You got to get ready for it, but it just grab you by the balls. Another good one, Don't Look Up, more contemporary. Some people don't like it.
Noel wanted to talk about, have you seen Don't Look Up? I love Don't Look Up, of course, because of course it was hysterical, but it's so true, and it's just so painfully obvious that there is a percentage of the human population that simply is incapable of dealing with the change that technology has brought to our culture and what it means. And these people find it impossible to function, and they are susceptible to, for them, and you got to kind of listen to this, for them, QAnon makes as much sense as anything else. QAnon makes as much sense to them as reality, because the reality to them is incomprehensible. They can't reconcile what's happening. Let me put it to you this way, and this might be a topic to close the show on. But Jack, last year, the federal government essentially admitted that UFOs are for real and they exist. And we forgot about it.
Mm-hmm. The news was not as interesting as what Trump was doing that week.
UFOs are real, Jack. UFOs are real. They told us that ET is a thing. And that bit of news has been forgotten.
Yes. And when you see Don't Look Up, that is exactly what the message is.
Okay, we have to take a little commercial break. This show today was sponsored by Swamp Away, the MAGA bidet. Great news. There's copy, Jack. You ready?
You held this out for me, Seth.
There's copy. Great news, Trump fans. Now, the forgotten man can have an ass that's just as squeaky clean as Donald or Melania. After a day's work, many real Americans struggle with the cursed affliction of hard-working Americans from Biloxi to Syosset, swamp ass. Thanks to this truly aspirational new product, you too can have hours and hours of confidence that all those people who call you a piece of shit won't be able to say that you smell like one with Swamp Away, the MAGA bidet. Swamp Away, available where fine bidets are sold nationwide, except the blue states.
Do you have a picture of Swamp Away?
No, I'm working on it.
Okay, because we would like, as a matter of fact, a video would be even better.
Let's work on that.
Yeah.
I really, really, really think that but Noel loved it, by the way. Noel, you like Swamp Away, the MAGA bidet? I got to tell you that I could become the bidet pillow guy. I could become, if he can sell them pillows, I can definitely sell them aspirational clean asses. By the way, the bidet is life-changing. Noel loves Swamp Away.
I'm
See that?
glad
Here's a customer. Here's a customer right now, Jack.
Yes,
Here's a customer right now.
we're
He
gonna have,
He loves the Swamp Away. We can sell Noel a Swamp Away. All we have to do is fabricate another bidet, except the control panel, the sheet. There's a plastic sheet with controls on it, right? And you press the buttons, and feminine or male, it'll clean your ass or move forward. And
explain that move forward move. I'm
no,
curious.
there's two drop down devices. So if you hit one button, the tube that hits your ass drops down, and it's angled for your ass. And if you're a woman, the other one comes down and is angled forward just a little bit. So it is a either gender kind of thing.
Now, let me ask a question. If you hit the wrong button, does that mean your nuts get impaled on a plastic tube?
No, they just get ice cold because, dude, Noel's trying to talk his wife into a date. It's life-changing. Give her my phone number. It's fantastic. I tell you what, Noel, they cost like $35 fucking on Amazon. And all you have to do is shut off the cold water supply, get a wrench, undo the hose to the toilet, screw this in its place, mount it under the toilet seat, and you're good to go. And I got to tell you, it's fucking amazing. It's amazing. Without getting into why, it's wonderful. And if you install it, I guarantee she will adopt the usage of this device. And it'll take you 10 minutes to install.
Did you install one?
Sure.
Oh, I thought you were just doing I didn't realize it was even a real product.
No. This is the real deal, dude.
No shit.
This is the real deal. Swamp Away, the Maga bidet, all you have to do is you can probably outsource them from, Jack, I'm telling you, Swamp Away, the Maga bidet is a great idea. You could take the panel, right? And Noel says, I need the warm kind. You think you do. You don't really need the warm kind. But the hot water supply is got to be on the same side of your hot water supply has to be on the same side of the bathroom as your sink. So if you can run a hose from your hot water supply, go for it. But mine's on the other side, so I had, the cold water supply only. So and hot water supply ones cost a little bit more. But Jack, I'm thinking you take an American flag sticker and you overlay it over an existing bidet product, and these things will sell like hotcakes.
Where's it made?
It's China. They're all made in China.
Okay. Now, let me just chime in here, because what I've noticed is my toilet has constantly lukewarm water in it. And the reason I figured out is because the cold water pipe somewhere is near the hot water pipe, and it keeps the cold water pipe warm. And so what I would suggest is throwing a thermometer in the toilet and really getting an idea of what the temperature is. And then, if you use the toilet in the morning like I do, it really helps you wake up if it's cold. Right, Seth?
It's amazing.
You really use this. You're not bullshitting?
I'm telling you, Jack, the bidet is the greatest invention in the history of inventions. I was I'm not gonna give you the story. It's yeah, I'm not gonna forget it. But okay. let me just tell you. No, well, sure, but Noel says he bought one, but the toilet's too far away from the sink. Get the one with the only cold water supply. And dude, I live in Maine. The pipes are the pipes here, the cold water pipes are, it's got to be 38 degrees, and I'm fine.
Well, we could comment on that.
It's a great way to end the show, though. Jack, what do you think? You like the idea? Should we get somebody to Jack, are you trying to tell me that this show wouldn't be great if we had a studio that we could afford off the profits of the Swamp Away, the Maga bidet?
I think we could do a screen. We could
Dude,
do
I mean,
some
clean up,
Yeah.
drain the swamp. Jack,
Yep.
drain the swamp. Drain the swamp with Swamp Away, the Maga bidet.
Okay, before we leave, let me ask you one question.
What?
What are the chances that Trump is going to win the nomination in 2024?
I don't think he'll be. I think he'll be a guest of the state of Georgia or the state of New York.
Mhm. Don't you think that this whole Ukrainian thing and his comments on it are going to tend to split the Republican Party, or at least give an excuse to back away?
I posted that the other day. I said Putin is the GOP's excuse to ditch Trump.
Mhm.
And that's what it is. I mean, the Ukraine is going to be so horrific. It's going to be so visually and narratively horrific. The story is going to be so terrible that you're not going to be able to extract the images from their media pipelines are not so isolated that they're going to be able to escape the ads that are going to be coming out. And it is, if you thought political ads were fun last time around, they're going to hang this. I mean, it's going to be it. Target rich. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
We got to end on a speechless note. Jack,
Always great to see you again.
I'd
Noel,
like to do it again.
Thank you for chiming in. And whoever our Russian friend was Washington, the North.
До свидания, Ruski.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be seeing you tonight. You get a fucking Venezuelan butterfly from me. You understand?
Is that like the Colombian necktie?
It's very much like that. It's very much like that. It's you make an incision here and here, and you both drown and asphyxiate at the same time.
Right. And your tongue is pulled out through your neck.
Not necessary. So dramatic. Why so dramatic? Let's kill the fucking Ruskies and have done with it. By the way, Chris Sununu this afternoon signed a bill signed an executive order removing every Russian vodka from the 67 New Hampshire state liquor store shelves.
Get some.
Get some. Is that not the best thing you've ever heard?
Absolutely. It's just got to go so much farther.
It really does. Same bad time, same bad channel, buddy. You want to do another show next week? Well, you want to talk about it this week?
Absolutely. Just as long as we don't compete with Rachel. Okay,
No.
that's
Saturday night. That's why we're on Saturday at 8.
I understand.
All right, my man. Oh, Harmony messaged me privately.
Oh, what did she say? Get that fucking old shit off the.
No, she's showing me a Heather Ann Sprague apparently Heather Ann Sprague is running for Maine District House seat, and she is a Putin fanatic.
You're fucking kidding.
So next week maybe we can talk about
How to take her down.
Yeah.
That's pathetic. How could you be a Putin fanatic? You got to be a psycho bunny.
I'm not afraid.
No.
I'm not afraid. Have gloves.
But pro Putin fanatic?
Well, Jack, it stopped being communism and started being fascist authoritarianism. That's what these people are all about, man. So, yeah, absolutely. They're all, this is the new right wing. And, you know, Hitler was the extreme of the right wing pre-1939 in America. Well, Putin is the extreme of the right wing in 2022 America.
You know what they all have in common? Hitler and Putin and Trump. And I'm not making this up.
This is not hyperbolic.
Racism.
Yes.
Putin is a rabid racist, just
Yes.
like Trump and just like Hitler.
Sure.
rabid racist.
These are the worst people in the world. It seems to me like, you know, I went on the Knox County Republican website and fuck with them proudly. What an accomplishment it is to fuck with them. I'm so happy that I did. But you want to know where we should also be going? We should be confronting these candidates every chance we get at these local candidates, because that's where it matters. Confronting these candidates, fucking with them ad nauseum, right? And we should be confronting people at worship with their hypocrisy. Because by my reading of the Bible, I know who it is that lies. I know who it is that doesn't welcome the outsider. I know who it is that creates orphans. That's Satan. That's the devil's work. No matter how many different ways you want to twist it, you have to confront yourself about that. I can recognize the devil when I see him. Noel says, thank you for the recommendations.
Oh, good. No, you'll let me know how you like some of these things. I'm really curious because I found some of them just amazing.
Noel, thanks for tuning in, buddy. We really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody else who watched tonight. Jack, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
And we'd like to thank our sponsors at Swamp Away, the Maga Bidet. Drain the swamp with a flush of the toilet. Okay, thank you, Jackie boy. I'll talk to you later.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye, everybody.